Okay, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Okay, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Thank you so much for being right here. I'm very excited about tonight's topic, tonight's interview. It's going to be a very interesting and very interesting topic. So, we are going to be talking about what is happiness, and have you ever heard that quote, that saying that goes, happiness is overrated? And in this interview, I'm going to be having a very heart to heart, soul to soul, human to human talk and conversation with Alan Lottman. Many of you guys have seen and have heard of him. He was here with us in these interviews, in these live videos about a month ago, a month and a half. And I'm so happy to have him back. He was actually the first person that I started to do interviews with. And for those who have been consistent and like connecting to this, this community, these videos, and participating, I want to say thank you. Thank you for that. It really means the world to me. I am very passionate to share with different perspectives and different people to you guys. So if you really like think about it, I'm gonna just ask everyone for a second before I bring Alan right here. Let's just kind of close our eyes. Take a deep breath in and just really come and become present now. And really think about the word happiness. If you really think about the word happiness, now you can open your eyes if you want to. What is happiness? And what does it mean? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to you? And how does that word, or how does that meaning of happiness really has a big effect and an effect and a feeling into your daily day-to life? So we are here. I really like encourage anyone that would like to be commenting, asking the questions. Please, we are here as a community, has just open-hearted people, and thank you again. And now, keep that in mind. What is happiness? What is your question? And I'm going to be bringing an amazing Alan Lottman, who is a soul coach, and I'm very happy, super excited and super just blessed to be bringing him on right now. So we're gonna have Alan Lottman join us, and here he is. Hello.
Hi, Kati.
How are you? Hello. How are
really
you?
Good. Doing great.
Good.
How are you?
You look great. Look at that smile. You look happy. What does that mean?
Yeah, I am happy.
Good. Thank you so much. Like I was telling everyone, thank you for coming back. Thank you for coming back to another interview with us. So how can we start this? I want you to tell me what happiness means. Like what does the word happiness mean to you right now? Because you say you're happy.
You know, this is really an interesting word and an interesting question. And I invite people, the reason Kati and I wanted to get questions is because there's a lot of focus on happiness. If we're happy and if we're not happy, does that mean we're unhappy? Happiness for a lot of people is like the goal. I want to feel happy. I want a happy life. And when I really looked at that question when we set up this interview, I looked at it from our conditioning from childhood. Like if your parents said, after dinner, we're all going out for ice cream, that made you happy. It was like, wow. And then I started really looking recently that happiness is kind of programmed into us. Like some kind of outside stimulation is going to wake something up in the body that feels good. You know, when the first time you're in a new relationship and your partner says to you, I love you, you know, there's that feeling of happiness. But where did it come from? It came from a feeling of something outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of like we're always looking out there to see what's going to make us happy. Does that make sense?
Yep. It makes absolute. It kind of connects to whew, it kind of connects to like expectations, you know, and
yes,
talking from my point of view and like the work that I have done with you. It's like you have this idea. Well, I'm gonna talk about, like, I had this idea, right? And I always knew myself to be like, I'm a happy person. I'm like a happy, like, you know, everybody knows Katy. Katy is the happy person. But then you also have these expectations of like how happiness should look, how happiness should feel, and what is it that's bringing the happiness, right? Like the outside world, like you were saying.
yes.
So yes, it's very interesting, and it's something that I mean, I have heard so many answers, and I have tell myself so many answers, but I still don't really know the answer.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested for us to just talk about the answers or the options of the answers.
Absolutely. And I've got my first question right here in front of me. And I invite everybody, ask the happiness questions. There's one thing I want to say that's a very strong belief of mine, is that once we define something, it just can't be any other way. So if you say happiness means this, then there's no other viewpoint. There's no other definition. So I'm not going to define happiness like a thing. Like there's this thing out in the world called happiness, and everybody wants this thing. But in the form of questions that you guys are asking, I would like to sort of address what I feel could create some kind of peace of mind around happiness, some kind of a viewpoint where you see that maybe happiness is an experience. It's not a thing. Maybe happiness it's like so many different things, but it's one of those words that really triggers people. If somebody just broke up in a relationship, they don't want to talk about happiness, right?
I'm talking about happiness.
Yeah. Okay. I'll use any kind of an example. That's really just one example.
No, but I know what you mean. Yes.
If somebody got fired from their job, they don't want to hear how happy somebody else is. They're trying to figure out how to take care of their family now. So I'm going to get to the first question, Kara. And if you type a question in and you don't want your name mentioned, just say, please don't mention my name, and I won't. So the question is, how do we remain happy if we put down boundaries against hurtful people, even though we love them? Before I answer that question, Kara, I think it's really important to say how you worded this, remain happy. You know how like we have this feeling of happiness, and sometimes it's almost like a feeling of ecstasy or this real excited feeling of happiness, and we never want it to go away. So when I hear like remain happy, or I hear people say, I want to get back to the way I felt when we first started the relationship. I was so happy then. But I really see that you can only experience happiness in the moment right now. So the talking about it doesn't bring happiness. It's the experience of happiness that you're feeling. So how do you remain happy if you put down boundaries against hurtful people? Well, hopefully, if people are really hurtful, maybe some of them are no longer for your highest good to keep in your life. And if it's family, the part, even though we love them, just send love. Because we can't change others. We can't make people give us something that's not already inside of them. So if people are filled with anger and anger's already inside of them, the only way they can really muster up true happiness is kind of pretending to be happy. We all know people that are happy or pretend to be happy. So Carol, what I would say is, if these are family members are really close to you, your happiness will never come from that. Your happiness will come from accepting how people are without trying to change them. So you have a sense of peace within yourself.
Letting go of expectations.
Because when we even just defining people as hurtful people, we give our power away when we're at the effect of other people. Some people give the name victim to, a victim of others, of hurtful people. I just say, if they have to remain in your life because they're family, just send them love. Don't depend on them for happiness or for any part of your own personal feelings. And when you give love out, you're in the experience of love. So you get to feel that you send something loving to somebody rather than holding on to the hurt, rather than wanting them to show up differently for you.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question,
I
Kara.
feel like this question, and I'm sure, like, Kara can, and Kara, please feel free to comment, what you think about it, or if that answer gave you another question, feel like free to like expand on it. And Alan, like, I love what you said about, I love, like, she mentioned boundaries right away, because, okay, how is happiness connected to boundaries? Like, having boundaries, like you were saying, like when it happens that is your own family, right? Like, and
yeah.
So that is all about having boundaries of, like, for yourself, right? For yourself, and knowing that it doesn't, just because those people are being no nice to you or whatever the case is, that's not going to define that your happiness. But sometimes people, myself, I can say too, there's a lot of times that when I disconnect of myself, and then I use that experience, or I use that other person outside of me to say, oh, I'm not happy, right? Or
Yeah.
you make me so, or I'm so sad because you don't understand, or because you. So it's like, how can you combine, or what is the connection of expectation and happiness in this kind of situation?
I don't think happiness and boundaries have anything to do with one another. I think boundaries are just a way to stand for yourself and respect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think boundaries are a way to let people know that that you love yourself enough to set up boundaries. Like, you can't just talk to me any way that you feel like talking to me. If you want to be in my life, it has to be, this kind of a relationship. Setting boundaries is a beautiful thing. But again, happiness, the misconception, I believe, is we think that other people can make us happy. And they can't. Because think about it. It's like, and also we can't make other people happy. And a lot of times we can't even make ourselves happy. How are we supposed to make other people happy?
And how is it that sometimes, a lot of times you hear, you make me so happy. I mean, I say that to a lot of people, like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you make me so happy right now. When they're not doing something that I want, you don't make me happy right now.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like how, what is the power, what is the power of the word when we give that power to somebody else, when we say, you make me happy? Or what's really happening energetically? What is happening in that situation?
Let me ask you this question. What happens to that when you're not happy with them?
What happens to that when I'm not happy with them? Then I'm not happy until something else catches my happiness. And I'm like, oh, wait a second, I am happy.
Yeah. So I think if we're dependent on anything for our happiness, you can be assured that unhappiness is going to show up when it doesn't look the way that we think it should or our expectations are. So again, I have a question. I have always thought, Kara is asking, always thought love had no boundaries. That's why it's hard to understand.
Yeah, because you hear that quote, love has no boundaries. But
No,
then we're saying we have to put boundaries.
I agree with love. And I think when we talk about boundaries, we're not always talking about love. I think a lot of people's perception of love, which would be another topic to have a different interview on, but just real quickly,
how it connects.
If you give love unconditionally, there's no expectations. You can give as much as you want. You'll never get hurt because you're not expecting something back. And I think the only way to give love is to give it without expecting something back. Some people really don't love themselves. How are they going to give it to you? How are they going to generate love and give you something that they can't even give to themselves? So I think one of the things that's going to become very clear in this conversation is that there's a lot of expectations. There's expectations around love. There's expectations around happiness. There's expectations around how people should treat us.
Yeah. Yeah. Why is that? Why is that?
And here's the thing that's really interesting is people that really demand respect. Like, I think people should respect me. How respectful are they being?
Mm-hmm.
How much are they respecting themselves and living a life that is that example that it's like, yeah, I really respect this person. Everything they say they are, they're actually being that. But yeah, love has no boundaries unless there's an expectation for reciprocation, for wanting something from them. And then you also don't want to be in relationships where you're just giving love and get zero back.
It's a balance.
There's no balance there. You'll feel drained. What, Kati?
Yeah, well, I said what you just said, like the balance, like knowing where the fine line is, and learning to give and receive. So that takes you somewhere else too in the topic. But coming back to the topic, like for example, in here, Omid says, "I will be very happy in Thailand." So what does that mean? That means, when we say, I will be happy when I have this, or I will be happy when this happens. Is that like that expectation of us waiting for something to happen, or somebody to come to our life, or to fall in love? And are we like, is that like missing the whole point of what's being present is here? But what if that actually motivates you? Because you're thinking that's gonna make you happy. That motivation drives you to do the things that you need to do to get there.
Okay. And what about when you get there and happiness doesn't live there?
You go somewhere else. You go to China, and then you go to Italy.
If you thought like, this is the one, this is the man or woman of my dreams, this is
You're not in that question.
it. And then the minute you feel like you're not happy, then all of a sudden something's wrong. So if we invest in that, happiness is the goal, then whenever you feel unhappy, it's like life isn't working. This doesn't feel good. I don't like this. So it's kind of soon to get to where I want to get about my real feeling with happiness, but I'd like for some people to ask some questions and maybe give us some of your take. What does happiness represent? Whoever's listening, just type in, what does happiness mean to you?
Yeah, feel free to not just ask the question, but give us your perspective on it, you know? And in the meantime that we are waiting for some people to interact and, well, Omid just answered. Let's see what he has to say. There we go. Happiness is gratitude.
Absolutely. Yeah. As long as you live in that space of gratitude, it's really difficult to be unhappy.
And I have to say, Omid is one of the, Omid, and he truly lives by what he just put there. Happiness is gratitude. He is grateful. He is grateful. He is grateful for, even for the times that are not happy, you know, and that brings him happiness. Does that make sense? I see it. Thank you, Omid. And then he said, happiness is healthy body.
Yes.
Feeling strong, feeling, when you feel physically connected with your body. And then Diana here, we have another question. You see it?
Yes, I do. How can we find real happiness? So I like how you asked the question, like it could be hidden somewhere, like there's a place that it exists that we're going to find it one day. So this is a good question to get to what my true feeling around happiness is.
Yay!
Happiness is a feeling, and feelings change all the time, and we can't hold on to feelings. You might be sad 1 minute, and then 3 hours later, you're extremely excited. Then 5 hours later, you're very happy, and
you're crying.
And then you're crying. So happiness is something that gets stimulated like a feeling, like an emotion, like sadness, like anger, like anxiety, like fear, like something that we're responding to.
Yeah.
I believe that if you live life in the present moment and really can let yesterday go and not worry about tomorrow and enjoy the experience of what's happening now, because it's the only moment you can do anything about is right now, then you will live a fulfilled life because you're not trying to change anything that's going on. See, that feeling of fulfillment is kind of like Omid talking about gratitude. It's like I'm very fulfilled and I'm grateful for having this kind of life. But it's like last week, my relationship was going so well and I was so happy. And this week, we're not even talking to each other. So that means that your feelings of happiness are dependent on some outside stimulation, something somebody's going to do for you or something that somebody's going to give to you. And when you can let that go and know that everything you need is really already inside yourself, that if you just live right now, when you can actually do something about your life and really live it in this moment and appreciate the people that give you so much love and send love to the people that really piss you off, because staying pissed off, they own you. So the fulfillment is letting everything go in every moment and just being where you are right this minute and enjoying that. That's being fulfilled. That's, you're going to have your moments of reaction. You're going to have your moments of all those feelings. But the quicker you can get back to right now, where you can do something about it right now, you're going to feel more power. You're going to feel like you didn't give away your power, that somebody else, it's their responsibility to make you happy, or that it's dependent on that perfect job to come along, or that house that you've always dreamed of, or the dream vacation, because that kind of happiness never lasts. The smell of a new car, once that's gone, a lot of that excitement and happiness has disappeared as well, right?
Yeah, until you go get a deep clean. But it's still not the same. It's not the same. No, but it's so true. And you know, I mean, and I'm sure like people that are hearing this may be able to relate. I mean, everything sounds amazing, right? Like let go of the past, let go, and let's just be present. But you know, it's for a lot of people, you know, in my perspective too, it has been a lot of work, and it's a continuous work. But once you have that that backbone, or that, how will you say it? Once you have that backbone, once you have that background of what's really happening, of what is really happening in your mind, right? And what's really happening, of the expectations connected to your trauma, your past trauma, and how all these things relate together. But for a lot of times, it can be really hard to see that, you know, like to just let it go. Some people are like, I have one of the questions one of my friends asked. It's like, okay, I know what makes me happy. I know exactly what to do to be happy. I know, I get it. But she's like, how can I stay committed to keep doing it, to keep doing what makes me happy? Because I constantly go and I drive out and away to what doesn't make me happy, but it's easy. I just end up there. So,
okay,
what can I do to do more of what I know already that makes me happy? What do you think what is that connection to?
Well, we have to kind of look at it for what it is. So if being happy is something good, then it would also define being unhappy as something bad. And we live in a world of this is right and this is wrong and this is good and this is bad. So if you say, well, happiness is good and being unhappy is bad, here's what I want to say about it too. And this is really very, very important. What I'm about to share is that a lot of people feel like, gosh, it just kind of went away for a second, but it's like a lot of people are not comfortable feeling too happy. A lot of people are uncomfortable receiving love.
Like guilt?
Like they keep asking, all I want is somebody to just love me for who I am and really appreciate. And then somebody overwhelms them with love. And not everybody's the best receiver of it because of how we perceive ourselves, how we judge ourselves, how we treat ourselves. So I say that some people feel more at home being unhappy because that's what's familiar, and we keep doing what's familiar. So if they're unhappy, like,
it's easy.
I never seem to catch a break, or, you know, gosh,
it always happens to me. It always happens to me.
Yeah. How come I'm always stuck in traffic? So you're going to still be stuck in traffic. But
you create more.
I say that when you really love yourself, you're experiencing happiness. And that kind of happiness is genuine and real. Being able to receive from others love and really let it in like you're important enough, especially if you've had trauma in childhood or felt not good enough issues, not worthy. For some people, they may not even realize it, but sometimes love makes them angry. It's really uncomfortable and they don't know how to be with it. And that affects the happiness as well. So I see another question here, and
being able to.
Do you know what I'm saying though, Kati?
Yeah, like
people want to know how to be happy,
let's
But
close
then
it
when
with I'm sorry.
when happiness comes to them, it's uncomfortable. For some people, it really is.
And they let it, I mean, they didn't learn how to receive it, or they didn't they were not open to receive it. That it's just it just passes by.
You know, there's many different things that happen, but it does start in childhood.
Yeah.
If somebody had an abusive parent, and we love our parents no matter what, then we'll think that love comes in the form of abuse because that's what our parents gave us.
And then you attract those kind of partners, and
yeah, we say we don't want somebody like that, but there's some comfort in familiarity for people that even if it's not a really pleasant feeling, they'll go there because it's more home for them. So yeah, really interesting. So do you think overthinking and constant worry is why it's hard to stay in the present and actually be happy in the moment? That is really great. I got to read that again so everybody.
Don't overthink it.
Do you think overthinking and constant worry is why it's hard to stay in the present and actually be happy in the moment? Absolutely, positively, yes.
Crazy.
I think that thinking about anything that's not happening right now is giving you stuff to deal with that may not be necessary. That if somebody said something to piss you off 3 days ago and you're still talking about it to yourself or others and thinking about if you want to be their friend, or if you know, like, I can't believe they did that to me. Or like you say, worrying, like, wow, with this COVID thing, it's really affected my business. It's affected my life. I'm really worried about paying my bills next month. I'm really concerned about my business ever getting to this place. Those kind of thoughts go into the universe and create more things to worry about. You can't do anything about tomorrow. Make today be great right now.
But how can you do that? How can you change? Like, for example, let's say
that's a good question.
like for example, let's say I know Tracy. She's somebody that I know. I used to be a waitress back in New York, when I I don't know, 8 years ago, and I have, so I know she's been through a lot. She had, we all have a lot going on, right? Or in whatever it is. But but so how can you let it go? How can you change? Is there a way to shift that and let go of those?
Perfect.
How?
So the first step is allow it to be there. We have to accept things the way they are. If we keep talking about how I really don't like this thing that's happening, or this really shouldn't feel like this, or they shouldn't have done this, or they, something about that things should be different. We got to let that go. We have to accept what's really happening, because most of our upset is about how things are. And the only way things that are happening now really change is to accept this is what's happening. This is what my experience is right now. So the way to get free is not to stuff down those feelings and pretend you don't feel it or it's going to go away on its own.
It'll come back.
To express all that angst, all that discomfort. I always recommend to people to grab a pillow and just scream, because you don't want to take it out on that person in front of you, because it's maybe the 5-year-old reacting to something that happened many years ago, and we have no right to take our feelings out on somebody else. Whose feelings are they? Ours. Did they trigger something? Yes, but they triggered it because there was something already there to trigger. And we need to be responsible for our feelings. And I say express them. Grab a pillow, tell your boss off, tell your partner off, say everything you need to, because your body doesn't know time and age. If you say it like you're looking them in the face and release it, you're going to notice incredible freedom.
And why
But
is
this
it
thing
so
about
hard?
stuffing, one more thing, this thing about stuffing it down, hoping it'll go away, trying to feel different than you do,
It just puts
it's not going to work.
I mean, it's still there.
Yeah.
It's gonna accumulate, and then you're gonna get back pain, neck pain.
If you're upset, you're upset. And if you pretend like you're not upset, you're still upset pretending you're not. So it's better to express the upset outside of your body. I scream into pillows all the time. I was a little nervous before coming on to this, even though I'm really comfortable with you and everything. So I just screamed out that nervousness in a pillow, and now I just sit here fully free.
You look free. And
yeah.
Since now, before we move into the next question, since now we are, you talk about the letting those feelings out and being okay when you're angry, but releasing them into a pillow or whatever way it is. And I mean, I think that also like working out and staying active, I think that also has to do with just, moving all that energy. But my question was, why out of my experience, because I've done those exercises, and I mean anybody, if we tell everybody that's watching right now, grab a pillow and scream your anger, like sometimes like you have it, but why is it so hard to actually do it? To actually, just why do our mind stops us? And then like you have, there will be times that like I feel everything, but it cannot come out. Why is that?
So let me ask you a question, Kati.
Yes.
If you're feeling anger and it can't come out, is there a part of you that feeling that anger is familiar for you? And there's a part of you that doesn't want to let go in that moment. Like, I have every right to be angry.
I mean, yeah, I don't want to deal with actually feeling, because behind anger, there's truly so much pain. In my experience. So it's like, I am feeling the anger. If at the moment I'm allowing myself to let it go, I'm going to end up crying in tears in the floor and like realizing that I'm really like I'm really sad, not even angry anymore. So you don't want, I don't want to deal with those emotions and those feelings. I don't want to.
Okay. So what's the alternative to dealing with those feelings and emotions?
To start getting a lot of back pain and a lot of stress, and my body just communicates with me like, hey, you have not released that, like, your emotions. And then I'm like, I'm okay. But inside, like, you start to get sick. You start to like, your body's talking to you, right? So
yeah.
But I mean, and I don't think I'm gonna comment on that, but that can take you to like sickness and diseases and everything. I believe so.
Yeah. For me, it's very painful to hold in things because I feel it. It doesn't matter about the other person. If I'm feeling those feelings, it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. If I'm angry, like, here's something that I saw a lot of parents do, and I didn't experience this with my own parents, but when a child is crying and the parent says, don't cry, or the child is angry, it's like, don't get mad. Those messages run really deep. So we think it's bad to get angry.
Mm-hmm.
It's wrong to be mad.
Yeah.
So what do we do with those feelings when they got stuck in our body? We can smile and pretend like we're okay, even though the veins on our throat.
People comes in there.
What's that?
people pleasing. You get like, people pleasing
Yeah,
because you cannot be angry. You cannot be,
yeah. So my recommendation is always let go of whatever's in your way. And for me, I love to scream it out because my body, like I say, it doesn't know age and time. It just knows that the energy's stuck. I can't get it out of my mind. I'm really pissed off. And if I don't let it go, it's going to ruin my whole day. But I also have a policy never to take out our anger on anybody else. Let it go on your own. It'll feel exactly the same as screaming at your boss or your spouse or
taking
kids.
responsibility. I mean, taking responsibility, right? That will go into like taking responsibility for your emotions and yourself, and not being
Yeah.
not being like a victim, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and here we have another question, very interesting. Omi loves to go out of topic, so here's your question, Alan. Which has greater value, freedom or love? Does that connect to happiness? It brings freedom, love,
I
happiness.
I think that they go hand in hand. I believe that when you feel totally free, you're in that experience of love. It's like you're not holding on to anything. And when you're experiencing love, like really uh, heartfelt love, soul felt love, then you feel free. So I don't think that, I think they go together. I
So
think you'll always
there's
have, the more you love, the more freedom you have. The more freedom you have, the more you're experiencing love.
that's why
I
you're
just really
so
believe they're hand in hand.
that's why you're so free, Omi, because you give so much love. I love you. Here we have another question. Again, thank you, Cara, for participating a lot. Like, it means the world to us. How do you generate genuine gratitude? Genuine gratitude.
So
Hmm.
this is really a great question. And sometimes I like to ask questions too to kind of see where somebody's at. So how do you generate genuine gratitude? Um, Carol, what I would say is you'd really have to let the love in. You'd really have to open yourself up and be vulnerable to receive this really wonderful thing that somebody did for you, or this really loving, thoughtful way that somebody was being with you, and somebody sharing unconditional love. I say that to generate it is to feel it. And if you're not feeling it, then I say that maybe there's a block of letting that love inside where you can really feel it at the level of your soul, because the soul wants to just give gratitude. There's people here in Southeast Asia that I always say thank you for everything. And they say, don't say thank you. It's like, but you've touched my heart, but you've really done something so loving. I just want to say thank you. And they don't say thank you. And I still say thank you because I feel that love, and that's my way of showing gratitude. And Kara, thank you for being so willing to participate. And I really, from this question, I suggest that you start to look and see what you could let go of that would allow more love to come in. It's always this holding on to something that prevents more from coming in. That's why if energy gets stuck and I scream it out, it's like my vessel's clear again. Not to get clogged up, but just to operate from, to feel from. And if we're holding on to stuff, then it's hard for new things to come in. So thank you,
Thank you,
Kara.
Cara. All right, Tracy again. I love this
Okay.
Tracy and Cara.
Why
why
do we
do we
not? Go ahead.
why do we not want to let go when it doesn't make us feel good or happy? Hmm.
I would like you to get a little more specific. Why do we not want to let go of what?
Okay, Tracy. If you're there listening right now, get more clear into what he just asked while we wait for her response into that. Why do we not want to let go when it doesn't make us good or happy? I mean, I would like to just maybe throw my point of view or my experience. A lot of times, and everything goes in things that we have commented, which I love, how everything is coming into one circle. You know, a lot of times for me, I have continued to do things that don't make me happy, and that's something that I accepted that I needed help, right? And I went to Alan and I started to work on and getting uncomfortable because even though we're stuck in a situation when we're not happy and it's hurting us, we can be the victim person there, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
we can. That's what we have been experiencing this whole time. I mean, my experience is like, um, I never had love. I never had. My parents were never there. I was alone all the time. I had so much pain. I'm not from this country. I don't speak this language. So me doing all the things that are going to show myself and prove myself that I'm right, that my mind is right about me, being good enough, about me, not having a stable family, or about me, being smart. So I went and I did everything that will prove my mind or whatever it is that I was trying to prove into like, you see, I'm right. I'm right. Everything goes, like I'm not good enough for this. So there's no opportunities for me. So we continue that. I feel like everything starts with the pattern of thinking, and even though it doesn't make us happy, it makes us comfortable in a subconscious level, maybe. And that's my
Yeah.
take on that.
I want to take a shot at this also, because as I read it more closely, some people hold on to things because it's familiar for them to feel bad. Like being upset is more comfortable than being free, than being happy, which sounds kind of like crazy, but when we're upset, we don't have to be responsible for having to enjoy life, for having to feel worthy, for being responsible for other things. Like, for example, if somebody's really angry and upset all the time, are you going to ask them to do something?
Hmm.
No. It's another thing that people use to be left alone. We don't want to go near those really angry ones because it's like, yeah. So a lot of people hold on to stuff so people leave them alone.
And those people are the ones that need more like love and understanding and happiness.
Okay, I'm going to read this from
Yes,
Tracy.
please do. I'm gonna take
I
a
have
picture.
had many people tell me to scream into a pillow, get the anger out, let go. Never was capable of doing it. Letting go is one of the hardest parts for me, and I don't know why. I can tell you why, because you say it's one of the hardest things, and that's what keeps it hard to do. Every
Trace,
time we say it's difficult, I can forgive and let go for a little while, but then it comes back up again, and anger sets in even worse. So I say that you don't really let go, that you just try to convince yourself in your mind that you've let go, but there's still a holding on if it's not gone. But there's something that you get out of being upset. There's something that is comfortable and familiar. Is it comfortable to scream into a pillow? No, it's not. But if you really are committed to getting free and you feel those feelings inside, and you choose to hold on rather than let go, maybe you're more committed to feeling bad than to being free and being happy.
I mean, nobody
And
wants to hear that, you know, but
but let me finish. But it's not like you want to feel that way. You've been programmed to deal with life in that way. You know, that's why this subject of happiness is so uncomfortable for many people, because they carry so much of the unhappiness with them that they can't let go of, that happiness doesn't have an opportunity to experience itself. Because as long as stuff is there, you're operating on top of all the crap that you hold inside yourself. If you don't let go, you don't get free. You can pretend all you want that, oh, I'm really okay. The happy-go-lucky ones that are smiling all the time, they're not really happy.
half of the time.
Yeah. See, it's an uncomfortable topic. But I say, Trace, while we're still here on this call, take yourself away, put it on mute. Whatever you're holding on to right now, go scream it out in a pillow, even if you don't
And come back later.
And then come back and tell us how that felt.
But do it strongly, Tracy. Like,
yeah, get it all out.
And
tell him or her or them how you feel.
And Tracy, you know, I know that you have said many people have already telling you this. Take just one session with Alan, and he'll just guide you to, and then you'll learn how to really do it really good. I think it will be a great experience. But yeah, go ahead and do what Alan said and come back to us later.
Yeah, come and report back.
Can you please do a thumbs up that you're actually going to do it? You don't have to again, but if you are, just share it with us a thumbs up, and we're holding space for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have another one here. I'm carrying a lot of shame, because you asked her, Kara, what is it that she was carrying, right?
Okay, very good. Very good, Kara. So, you know, it doesn't really matter what the shame is about. It's how it affects your life on a daily basis. You know, if there's shame inside of somebody, they may have a difficult time making eye contact with others because they feel the shame and embarrassment inside. They can't really open themselves up. Shame usually comes in early childhood from different experiences and topics that could get very heavy, and I wouldn't use this platform to share with you. But when there's shame involved, that's not an easy one to let go of. That's something that we kind of unconsciously punish ourselves, like for feeling this way. There's a part of ourselves that when we feel shame, we don't feel deserving in many areas. I think that it creates a lot of distance sometimes too, because it's hard for people to get what we're feeling inside, what we're holding on to. And shame is kind of like you did something wrong or bad or naughty. It really sounds like something in childhood, because shame is much deeper than embarrassment. Embarrassment is kind of in the moment, and sometimes it lasts longer, but shame is something that it's like holding on to a secret that you've defined what happened in your life to be, and still trying to be on, and still trying to be loving and compassionate. Yeah, if you wanted to have a conversation with me another time, I can certainly share with you a lot of ways to release that. And
but I love how you just shared it openly. Thank you, Kara. Like, I love how you have shared with us.
Yeah, that's one that when you feel that, people make up like, wow, that person is snobby, or that person really keeps to themselves, or, I don't really get to know that person.
What is that mean?
Shame is one that we hide. Sadness, we'll just cry at the drop of a hat. I know I do. But yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you anytime about that, Kara. And I just say that that what your questions earlier, that this is the source of a lot of the feelings and emotions that you have, and that we addressed already. But this is like one of those core issues that's really important to let go of. So
core issues.
Yeah, and thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that.
Yes, totally. Thank you. And for everybody that is just starting to join, again, feel free to ask your question. We are here. If you don't want us to show your name, you can send me a message, and I'm gonna read it from there. But right now, so far, I think we're good with the questions here. I do have a few questions that other people submitted before. Is there anything else you want to say before we go into those questions? How do you feel?
Actually, what I would like to say is the apartment on the floor below me is being renovated, so you might hear some drilling, you might hear some banging. Just kind of include it. It's been going on for about 2 weeks, and I'm just gonna smile and have fun with it because it's entertaining.
There's no shame. I kind of like the background music.
Okay.
There's no shame. I love it. Okay, that's it. That's all you have to say. Is there anything else before we move into?
Let's go to there's more questions.
I have one more question here. 𝙗𝙗𝚁𝙴𝙲 here. Alan, please talk about how happiness is linked to the healthy body.
Okay, so I think anytime that we take any kind of action that's really loving ourselves, that's improving ourselves, that's for our well-being, it's going to make us feel better. If we're eating right, say we eliminate sugar or some of those other foods, we're going to automatically feel better. It's kind of like every time you go to the gym, every time you eat fruit or something very healthy, it's a way of saying that you love yourself. And so of course you're going to feel better. I try not to associate happiness with too many things, because happiness is really an experience. And the way that we talk about it is like a thing, just like a relationship. A relationship is really an experience, experiencing another human being, sharing yourself with another human being. But I also think that the way people talk about it, and there's millions of books on how to have a great relationship, they talk about it like it's this thing. I'm doing this thing called relationship. I got this thing called happiness going for me today, which is a good thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Omed, keep that body healthy, keep loving yourself, and you're going to have a lot more enjoyment in your life.
I mean, when you are able to, when you're able to get up from the floor faster, when you're able to run when a lion is trying to eat you, after you are saved that the lion didn't eat you because you were able to stay strong and running, I mean, you're gonna be happy. That's my example.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it's the connection of like the mind, the body, and the soul, right? Like adding the three things together into, because if you feel better about your body, about yourself, you feel healthier. It's connected to everything that's happening in your mind.
Yeah.
Right? And that I feel like it can be connected more into looking inside yourself than just outside. But
I want to use Omid's as a good example of what I mean by happiness and fulfilled. When you're at the gym and you're lifting weights and you're working out and you're sweating and your body is in pain and you're hurting, you're not happy in that moment. But when you finish that workout, there's a certain feeling of being fulfilled. Like, wow, I went way past where I stopped, and like, that's fulfilling. But even though you know you're doing something great for your body, you're in pain. In that moment, you're not thinking about happiness. You're thinking about pain. But later, it's like, I'm fulfilled that I kept my word and did 10 repetitions of this, and you know, like that. So
yeah,
hi, Anna.
it's very good.
Love you too, Anna.
And then he said, I'm talking about it in general.
Okay. So what are you talking about in general, Oman?
I mean, we can have you join if you like. We can add you here. You can come in video if you want. And then after whatever he says, I think I would like for us to go into the questions.
Yeah, let's do that.
But let's see. Let's close it to give him clarification here.
And there's people on the East Coast that had just past midnight. Thank you so much.
Yay.
I love you guys for staying up. It's really say
I
hi to
love
Betty
it.
and Jackie and Canada, and
Wow.
you know, they've been such great supporters and people that there. And Tamara, Kati's mom, who's probably awake in New York, who I spoke to a little while ago. And yeah, just really, it's so wonderful. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you. And it's just so cool to have so many people from everywhere. I really love it. And like connecting all of our people together and even more. So just to finish it off here. So let's give him an answer here. How does happiness connect to maintaining a healthy body in general? How does maintaining a healthy body connects to happiness? He really wants to know this answer. He doesn't have enough.
Okay, no, this is good. So anytime you make a commitment to anything, and you fulfill on that commitment. So if your commitment is by September 1st, I weigh this amount, that my waist size is this, and my biceps are that. I'm not sure what level of body or healthy body you're talking about. But if you declare what it is that you want and you take the actions to make that happen, yes, there is going to be that feeling of fulfillment.
So fulfillment connects to
happiness. That kind of happiness is the happiness that comes from within. That it's like your way of loving yourself. It's not something stimulated by something outside of you.
So working out or being healthy will be outside of us, or?
No, working out is what we're doing for our body. Any action we take to feel better, to take care of our body, to lose weight, to build muscle, to exercise.
Drink water.
There's that feeling inside of just feeling great that we're doing something to take care of our health.
Yeah.
And you can call it happiness, but that's just one name for it. Instead of like, I'm committed to this body and I'm doing what it takes. And I feel better with a healthy body.
I love that. I love that.
No more health questions on that.
Okay, let's move into the questions. We've been here for an hour. This is amazing. I can stay here forever. How do you feel about moving into the questions now that I have?
Yes, let's hear it.
Okay, so I have the first one. The first one is actually Anna. Anna, that's right here. That she just say thank you. Love you guys. Love you all. Her question here is, how can we reach endless happiness? Is happiness endless? What is endless?
I would like to really introduce the idea of fulfillment. Fulfillment, because happiness isn't endless and it's not every moment. If you're growing in life, you're going to have uncomfortable moments. You're going to have difficult times and challenges that come up. So happiness isn't endless, but being with everything that comes at you and handling it in the moment in a way that serves you and supports your highest good will keep you fulfilled, will have you proud of yourself, will have you feeling powerful, that you don't give your power away. And I say that we give our power away to this thought that we should be happy or that somebody else has the responsibility to make us happy. We give our power away, and if we don't get happiness in return, like I took on this relationship because I wanted happiness. I'm not getting happiness, so this relationship doesn't work. That's a dependency on something outside of yourself that makes you happy. So Anna, I think the way to feel satisfied, to feel fulfilled, to feel content inside is be in the moment with what works best for you and take those actions.
She is.
You know, your soul will always guide you to exactly what you're supposed to do. But if you resist doing it, that's what brings up all the feelings and emotions. We all know what to do. We all know to go to the gym. Omen. And eat healthy.
Omer really wants to show. Oh, I love it. Omen is ready for. I think you and Omer should have a how do you call that? What is the word I'm looking for? Not an argument. Debate.
A debate. Okay.
So
yeah, just don't lift up your shirt, Omen, and show me a six-pack. I'll be jealous. You know that. Okay, so Anna, that's the thing. It sounds like just from your picture that you're doing healthy things for yourself. Your attitude of sharing love and really, it just sounds so genuine and so absolutely perfect that if you're sharing love and feeling grateful for the love that's around you, that's beyond happiness. That's just like walking around feeling wonderful for no reason, because of what you give out in the world. That's what you get back.
Yeah, no, you really did. She met you one time in the class that we did a while back here, and she will never forget how you make her feel. She's like, he touched me and I cried. So you mean the world to her, and you know, yeah, that's what I have to say about that. So that was her answer. Now, are we ready for the second one?
Yes.
Okay, complete. The second one is that Diana. She actually did ask another question earlier. But this is close to it, but different. What's the definition of happiness? Do you define happiness?
I think once you do, it limits it. So happiness is a very personal experience. It's something that you can only experience right now. You can think about wanting to be happy in the future, but you can only experience it now. So there isn't really a sufficient answer or definition, in my opinion. I would say the best way to define happiness is enjoying the moment, right now, not looking outside of yourself for happiness. If you don't look outside of yourself for something to stimulate you, for ice cream, for whatever that is, that's going to make you happy, but you stand like in a place where you say, I am going to be fulfilled and have an amazing day today.
When was the last time we all did that?
Just by declaring that, you're going to experience more happiness. But if I were to define it and you say, well, how come I don't feel happiness? Why am I not happy? Then you're using happiness, that you're wanting sources outside of yourself to deliver the happiness.
It's easier.
Instead of saying, I'm responsible for being happy and I'm going to live a happy life, then there's some power there. Then it's up to you. And you're the only one that can do something about it.
And then you start attracting more situations and people that are happy with themselves. Therefore, there's a happy environment around you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that answer.
No, you just made a really good point, Kati. If you'll notice on the days when life is just wonderful and you're excited, people, like you go into a restaurant, somebody buys you a beer, like, let me buy you a beer, or you're really in a great mood and somebody says, hey, you're just in time for lunch. And like people just feed on happiness. You attract in your life what energy you're putting out. If you're giving love, you're getting it.
And all the lights, when you're driving, all the lights are green and you're like, oh, because, you know, before everything, like you are what I like to call, you are in the flow, you know, and everything starts with the mindset of making the decision and letting go of the expectations and being present in the moment, even when it's not perfect, but going back to the being grateful and genuinely grateful that everything falls into place.
Yeah, I think Kati described the definition of happiness. It's getting green lights everywhere you go. That is the definition of happiness.
That doesn't happen all the time. Maybe once a year, but then you go. How often are you really happy? When the greens are, where all the lights are green.
Yeah.
All right, love it.
What's the next question? Some people got to go to bed soon.
Okay, the next question is from Wendy. Is happiness relative? If so, does it have different meanings to each person?
The second part of the question is yes. It does have different meanings to different people. Is it relevant? Everything's as
no, I don't think you meant relative. I'm sorry, that was my mistake. I think it's relative. Relative? Did I say relative? Like you can relate to other people to it? Is that what she meant? Relative.
Is happiness relative to your life? I don't like to use anything as something that that we're dependent upon. Like, we need happiness to feel great. If we're not happy, something's wrong. Like, is it relative? I think we're not thinking about being happy when we're living in the present moment. I think we're thinking about happiness when we're thinking about the future, when we're thinking about a feeling that we used to have that we want to have again. Do you know what I'm saying? So when we're just present in the moment, we're not even aware of ourselves. Do you know what I mean? When you're really present in living life right now, you're not asking yourself, hey, Alan, are you happy right now? I don't. I'm just living my life.
Hey,
so this is really a great question, Wendy. That's why happiness is overrated. Because it's something that we're very strongly invested in. Something we think is so important to feel. something that takes way too much of our attention. And if we're just living life in gratitude, as some people have said, and living our life giving love, what you experience is even greater than what a definition of happiness would be.
Like it has no words or meaning, right? It's more of like a experience. It's an experience. And everybody has different experience, and like there may be times that, and I mean, I that's why I feel like there's music that people write, right? I mean, in my experience, why did I write? There were a lot of moments that either sadness or happiness, like all these different emotions will come, and it's like I could not maybe express them in different ways or in a pillow or talking, but it was here, right? Like that was my friend, or in music, and then you can. It's still there's no like an exactly word, but there's a whenever a person is listening to a song or reading a book or reading a quote, you give them a feeling, and everybody's going to understand it differently, whatever they are going through, but they have that feeling that the music notes, the tones, the way of like poetry or whatever, it takes them into a space. So for everyone, it's an experience. I love that. Yeah, I learned this right now. I made it. I feel like, happiness is an experience.
You know, I want to just add one thing to what you said, which is perfect, Katy. Happiness is definitely an experience. And when you're doing what you love in life, you're not even aware of yourself. You're so engaged in enjoying it. I've got a friend that has a beautiful garden, and her therapy and her love and her excitement is being out there with the tomatoes and the large zucchinis and talking to her plants and just doing what she loves. There's like this.
I want to do that. I want to be happy.
Yeah, it's like gardening has never been my thing, but there's such a love and passion and time, like to sit and take weeds out one at a time, to tell your plant, I love you and thank you to the Mother Earth for giving me these tomatoes. And I can still taste her beautiful, wonderful tomatoes in the backyard. It's the house I lived in Arizona when I was in Sedona.
Aww.
So I really saw what love looked like in her garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Any more questions? We probably want to wrap up.
We're gonna have one more. We're gonna finish it with one more. This question is from a friend, Anahit. So first she said, which we already kind of like went through, what is happiness? Is happiness inner peace? One second, I can't understand my handwriting. So is happiness inner peace? What is, do you think happiness is getting what you want? And that will be our last question from here. And then if you guys have questions, feel free, but this is the last one we're gonna answer.
So since it's the last question, I want you to answer it, Katy, first.
Why did I have a feeling? Actually, my idea was to answer the last question, and then I was gonna have you ask me a question, but I can answer this question. I love that. Thank you for asking me. Okay, so is happiness inner peace? I think that inner peace is one of the experiences of happiness, or like we were saying that happiness is an experience, right? It's an experience for every single different person. And what is inner peace? What is feeling inner peace? I think feeling inner peace is a truly like it's like another experience that you get to feel. And what is inner peace? It's just being in the present moment without putting titles. I'm happy because I am in Asia, or I'm happy because I'm in the ocean, or in my favorite place, or I'm happy because I'm eating my favorite food. it's just about being like just present in whatever situation you are, when you know at the same time you want to pull down your hair and you're crying or whatever, but you're crying sometimes of just like inner peace for the choices that you have made, that they may be intense and emotional and like sad, but still it brings you inner peace because you are being truthful to yourself. So is happiness inner peace? Again, I mean, I think inner peace is just being present. So maybe who made this word of happiness? Like, why, it's just one more word that we can relate to. But what do you mean what like happy? Like I'm sad. Doesn't being sad means that I'm sad? I mean, it's just I'm just experiencing an emotion that is making me, I mean, it's an emotion, it's a negative emotion because I'm doing something that my body, my mind, my soul is telling me do not do, because this is not where you're supposed to be. So for me, it's just inner peace is an answer from my soul to me saying thank you for being present. Like this is all like this is the meaning of life. This is happiness. I don't know. I answer with another question, but I don't have, I mean, that's my answer.
And I think you said some really great things. The only thing I would say is it's not happiness that brings inner peace. It's when you can let go of all those inner disturbances, all those feelings inside of you that we hold on to, because sometimes we just don't know how to let go of them. But when you can release, that's why forgiveness is so powerful. That's what gives you peace of mind. Forgiveness.
And for the last thing, to answer her last question here, and for the rest of the questions, if you want to answer, there's one more, you can feel free to. If not, we can totally stay in contact with everybody else that will, ask a question, just because we've been here for almost 1 and 30 minutes. But let's finish, and I hit questions here. Is happiness getting what you want?
No.
Okay.
But sometimes you will feel happy when you get what you want. But if you're dependent on getting something to make you happy, then there's that expectation. There's that attachment that happiness has to come from somewhere outside of yourself. And I say that the real happiness that we experience and the pleasure and the peace of mind and all that comes from within on how you feel about you. If you're not happy with you, nothing can make you happy. Should I take this last question here?
Yes.
All right, Kara. Kara's a big player tonight. Thank you, Kara. Do you have tips for happiness during the COVID? There's so many unknowns about tomorrow. The only tip I have is I'm fortunate, first of all, to be in a country where there's very, very few cases. I think 300 cases out of 70 million people. It's pretty small. And they still ask you to wear masks and have these plastic shields at restaurants and all that stuff. So there's, especially right now, what's happening in the USA, there's so much focus and so much attention and so much fear being instilled. I think that the number of cases of people that are dying that have had previous conditions is still relatively low from what the normal flu brings. That I also believe that, maybe certain medications respond to this, which have people who are in their older years dying as well. I think the unknown part of it can, like, this is really great how it relates to peace of mind. What if you just walked around every day saying, I'm perfect, whole, and complete. I experience nothing but perfect health. I trust in God, and therefore I know I'm safe and healthy. Like, to say affirmations in a way that you can let go of the worry and concern. Do you still wear a mask when you go out? Absolutely. Do you still follow guidelines? Yes. But you don't have to feel in fear about it. You don't have to feel controlled by it. Don't let it kill your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
This social distancing, it's like telling somebody, you know, don't eat the candy. If you tell people not to hug each other and embrace and share love, to me, that's way more painful. And that's the part of it that I think this social distancing, we live in enough separation where people feel separate from one another that, you know, I think it's really important to acknowledge that there's something going on, take care of your safety, and live your life. Use this time to be creative. Some people are starting new businesses. Some people are very successful right now. Some people, you know, are just sitting around watching the news, feeling awful most of the time. And even people that call themselves expert, there's something called our higher self. There's something that is our God within. It's our will to stay strong, to be safe, to be healthy, that gives us more power than any disease could ever give to us. So either I think there's some people that are getting COVID from thinking about it so much that they've actually created symptoms. I think we don't know how accurate the testing is all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things in there. The bottom line is, don't be upset by it. And if you are upset, let that upset go. It's like anything else outside of you. If you're going to let that ruin your day, ruin your life, use it as an excuse to not enjoy yourself.
To not work out.
It's not good.
Yeah.
So thank you for asking that. And thank you, everybody, for participating. This has been another great event with my
Amazing.
soul daughter, who I love very much.
Yes, thank you, thank you. No, thank you, Alan, for your time. I love how open-minded you are too, and you let everybody, you know, you truly let everybody just be themselves without any judgment and without any expectation. Thank you for sharing yourself with everybody. You know, he's been working with my family, with my mom, with my brother, and it's just it's really cool. It's really cool to feel so connected with somebody so far away.
If anybody out there really sees that there's an area of their life that they're stuck in, that they'd like to experience some freedom, please reach out. These sessions are really about letting go of the stuff that weighs us down.
And right now,
it's time to unpack the luggage.
Right now, Alan, I mean, you can do one session too, or, you know, whenever you want, but he's actually right now, you already started a program that he has different programs here and there, and they're very intense. They're going to get you uncomfortable, but, you know, I know my mom is doing one of those, and do not give up.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Kati.
You're welcome.
To contribute in any way I can. And it's an honor to work with you. You're so dynamic and you love people so much that it's wonderful to see all the people say wonderful things about you as well, Kati. Thank you.
Thank you. And are you complete? Is there any question you want to ask me? Is there anything else, or are we all complete to say goodbye?
I ask you to look. My question is, if you could completely let go of any need to be happy, what would you trade happiness for? Like if you couldn't ask to be happy, you didn't have the expectation to be happy, what would you be willing to replace it with?
Inner peace. Is that a question like I already have inner peace and everything else, or is that like happiness and something and like whatever else? Do you know, or is like I already have this and can you clarify?
So without looking for the perfect answer, it just came out of your mouth.
Expectations.
No, what you said is
Inner peace.
that you would trade it for inner peace, right? You would give up happiness to have inner peace. I think that is one of the most profound things that we've talked about tonight. And I say that if you look at something you can do something about, which is your inner peace, you won't look outside of yourself to be fulfilled by anybody or anything.
Or to say you're happy.
You're going to win a lot more in your life by doing what works for you to have inner peace, rather than looking outside of yourself to see when happiness is going to show up again. And I think that's a good note to close on.
Namaste. Thank you so much. I love you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. And for you people on the East Coast, that's saying you love me and you love Kati so much to really stay up so long. And yeah, people are saying Kati is the definition of happiness. She's always happy. You know what? There is a
am I pretending?
No, there's a part of her spirit that nobody can kill off. And there is something about Kati that when she is committed to having something, she is unstoppable. And this is the author of a book. This is somebody at a very young age who's lived a very full life and keeps looking every day to see how she can get bigger and expand herself. So whoever is a friend of hers is very, very fortunate. And this is a great opportunity to show that gratitude to Kati, to continue to follow her interviews and support whatever she's up to. Because if you're playing with her, you're going to win a lot more than if you're not. So I love you, Kati, and thank you.
Right back at you. I love you. Thank you. See you next time.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.